My best friend's brother came to fix my shower and stayed until morning. The sound of water crashing through my ceiling at 11 o'clock at night felt like my entire life finally giving up on me. I stood frozen in the middle of my tiny apartment bathroom as water poured from a broken shower pipe, flooding the floor, soaking the hallway carpet, and dripping into the apartment below. My hands trembled as I stared at the disaster unfolding in front of me. It had already been the worst year of my life. I had lost my mother 6 months earlier, my long-term relationship had ended shortly after, and every day since then had felt like I was carrying a weight too heavy for one person to bear. Now, as water spread across my floor and panic tightened around my chest, I felt completely alone. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of people showing up when it matters most, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to The Shadow of Kindness for more heart-touching stories. I grabbed my phone and called everyone I could think of. Most didn't answer. A few apologized and said they couldn't help. Then I remembered my best friend, Emma. She lived several hours away, but maybe she would know what to do. I called her, fighting tears as I explained the situation. She listened patiently before telling me not to worry. She said her older brother Ryan worked with home repairs and plumbing. Before I could protest, she promised she would call him immediately. I felt guilty. Ryan and I barely knew each other. Over the years, I had seen him at birthdays, holiday gatherings, and occasional family events. He was always quiet, respectful, and dependable, but we had never been close. The thought of asking him to drive across town late at night because of my emergency felt unreasonable. 25 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, Ryan stood there carrying a large toolbox. His dark jacket was damp from the cold evening air, and he looked slightly out of breath from rushing over. Yet there was no annoyance on his face, no frustration. Just the moment he stepped inside and saw the water spreading through the apartment, he immediately got to work. Within minutes, he had located the main shut-off valve and stopped the flow. The terrifying roar of water disappeared, leaving only silence and the sound of both of us breathing heavily. Relief washed over me so suddenly that I nearly collapsed. But the damage had already been done. Water covered multiple rooms. Furniture was soaked. Parts of the ceiling looked unstable. The repair would take hours. Ryan examined everything carefully and explained that leaving the damage untreated until morning could make things much worse. Mold could develop. The ceiling could weaken further. The downstairs neighbors could suffer additional damage. Without hesitation, he rolled up his sleeves and began working. The hours that followed felt strangely unreal. Together, we carried wet rugs outside. We pushed furniture away from damaged walls. We used every towel I owned to absorb water. Ryan moved methodically through each task, never complaining, never checking the time, never acting as though he had somewhere better to be. As midnight turned into 1 in the morning, exhaustion settled into my body. Yet something unexpected happened. For the first time in months, I wasn't alone with my grief. While we worked, memories surfaced. At first, I tried to ignore them, but grief has a way of finding cracks in your defenses. One small comment about family led to another. Soon I found myself talking about my mother. I told him about the hospital visits, the difficult final weeks, the silence that followed after she was gone. I told him how every room in my apartment reminded me of her, how some mornings I still reached for my phone before remembering I couldn't call her anymore. The words spilled out before I could stop them. I expected awkwardness. Instead, Ryan listened. Not the kind of listening people do while waiting for their turn to speak. Real listening. The kind that makes you feel seen. As the night deepened, I learned things about him too. A few years earlier, he had lost someone important in his own life. He understood the strange loneliness that grief creates. He understood how people often disappear when pain lasts longer than expected. He understood how difficult it could be to keep moving forward when your heart wanted to stay in the past. There was comfort in that shared understanding. Outside, the city slept. Inside my damaged apartment, two people quietly carried both waterlogged furniture and invisible burdens. Around 3 in the morning, we finally finished most of the emergency repairs. The apartment still looked messy, but the crisis had passed. I offered Ryan the couch. It seemed ridiculous for him to drive home exhausted after working for hours. He accepted. Yet neither of us went to sleep immediately. Instead, we sat in the kitchen drinking coffee from mismatched mugs. While the first hints of dawn remained hidden beyond the windows, the apartment was quiet. For months, silence had felt painful. That night, it felt peaceful. We talked about life, regrets, dreams, family, and all the strange turns that bring people together when they least expect it. There was no pressure, no grand romantic moment. Just two people sharing honest conversations in the middle of an unexpected night. As morning approached, sunlight slowly entered the kitchen. The disaster that had seemed overwhelming only hours earlier now felt manageable. The broken shower would be repaired. The damaged ceiling would be fixed. The soaked carpets would dry. For the first time, in a very long time, I realized that maybe the same could be true for my heart. Pain had convinced me that healing was impossible. Loss had convinced me that loneliness would last forever. But sitting there across from someone who had shown up without hesitation reminded me of something important. Healing rarely arrives in dramatic ways. Sometimes it arrives disguised as a late-night knock on the door. Sometimes it arrives carrying a toolbox. Sometimes it stays until morning. Over the following weeks, Ryan checked in regularly to make sure repairs were progressing. What started as occasional messages slowly became genuine friendship. The walls I had built around myself after losing my mother began to weaken. Little by little, I started reconnecting with life. The sadness didn't disappear overnight. Grief never works that way. But hope returned, and hope changes everything. Months later, when I looked back on that terrible night, I no longer remembered the panic first. I remembered the kindness. I remembered realizing that even in our darkest moments, unexpected people can become lights in the distance. I remembered that one act of compassion can alter the direction of someone's entire life. Special request. Before the ending, comment below with the name of someone whose kindness helped you through a difficult season. Your story may inspire someone else who is struggling today. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, leave a comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to The Shadow of Kindness. Your support helps spread stories that remind people they are never truly alone. As Ryan finally left that morning, the sun shining brightly behind him, my apartment was still damaged, my grief was still real, and many challenges still waited ahead. But something inside me had changed. For the first time in months, believed better days were possible. And sometimes that single spark of hope is enough to carry us through the darkness until morning.